What's going on, guys? This is Will, and I'm the creator of Fano, and I'm glad you found the game. If you're seeing this video from the Orientation tab in the web app, that's because I haven't coded the full in-game tutorial yet. Eventually that'll feature a nice on-theme mathematician magician who's going to walk you through the basics, but for now you've got me. If you played any trading card games before, some of the rules and the layout are going to feel very familiar. If you love abstract strategy games like chess, you're in for a real treat. And if you haven't played either, don't worry. I'll do my best to make your first game a fun one. Fano is basically the love child of my desire to create a non-collectible combat card game that can rival the greats, with the strategic depth and tactical feel of chess. I wanted it to be accessible so the entire game works with a standard deck of cards. Each player uses just one suit of the deck, and even though you're technically only playing with 10 cards, Fano punches way above its weight class. There are three types of cards in Fano. There are the commander cards, Jack, Queen, and King. They mark your progress in the game. Here I'm actually playing a game against the computer in the web app, and you'll see that we both start off as a Jack. If you're playing with a physical deck, you can pull the Jack, Queen, King out, stack them with Jack on top and King on the bottom, and place them in front of you. To win, you have to promote your Jack to a Queen, Queen to a King, and then one more promotion will win you the game. The next set of cards are the prestige cards. This is the 8, 9, and 10. I actually have one in my hand. And in Arcane Arithmetica theme, these are magical artifacts that your commander needs in order to promote. If you collect all three of these and have them in play, you can trade them in for a promotion. But we'll get into that in a moment. The last are the combat cards. This is the Ace through 7. Ace also counts as a 1. These are called Elember spells. Elember being a mix of element and number. So for example, all 1s or aces are also cyan wind, and all 7s are also yellow electric. Most of the gameplay revolves around these Elember spells. On your turn you can play them, attack with them, combine them for higher values, and you can even recruit other Elember spells. More on all that really shortly. To start the game, just simply shuffle all of your Elember spells and artifacts together, that's 1 through 10, and place them face down as your draw pile. Decide who goes first and then draw 3 cards. So here's a game I'm playing against a bot. I have a draw pile here, which is face down. I've got my commander stack, which is Jack, Queen, King, Jack on top. And I have my hand, which I have a 7, an ace, and a 10. There's also 2 more zones that I haven't talked about yet. I have the discard splay, which is right here to the left of the commander. Like most discard piles, it's where spent cards go, but unlike most discards, cards here are splayed face up for everyone to see. This lets you track what's already been used as the game progresses. In the center of the board are the 4 field slots. This is where in-play cards go. You can only have 4 on the field at once. Elember spells on the field are what you use to perform actions. And if you ever collect all 3 of the artifacts, you can trade them in for a promotion. Each turn has 3 phases. We're actually going to start a game right now, and we'll play this one out. So bear with me as we experience the computer's reactions. I'll be talking in real time. There's the draw step, where you're going to draw until you have 3 cards. The web app has already done that for us. There's the main phase, where you can perform as many actions as you have the ability to do so, cards in play and cards in hand, and resources. Then there's the end phase, and you can choose one of just 4 actions to end your turn. For the end turn step, you can either play an Elember spell, discard any number of cards, substitute a card on the field with one from your hand, or you can simply end your turn. When you start out a game, we actually don't have any cards in play, so we kind of skip right to the end turn step. And because we don't have any cards in play, we can't substitute out a card. And I wouldn't recommend right now ending the turn either. That's more of a situational use case, and we're not going to cover it in this tutorial. So that leaves us with either playing one of our Elember spells or discarding some number of cards. To select the cards, you can click on them, and a little box will circle the card that you've selected. You can select more than one, and if you tried to play them, you won't be able to. I'm clicking right now and nothing is happening because I have 2 selected. But if I had one selected, I could click on this field slot or any field slot, and that'll play and it'll end my turn. The 7 will be in play and my turn will end. If you want to deselect a card, you could just select it again, or you can go down here to clear selection, or you could just simply click off the board. You can also discard any number of cards, and to do that, you could just select whatever cards you want to discard. I could discard my whole hand, and then you click on the discard. To end your turn, if you were to do it, you just click on the discard splay without any cards selected. So be very careful and don't hit this unless you really do want to end your turn, because you'll be sad to find that you just ended your turn and gave your opponent another chance if you accidentally click this. So with that, I'm actually just going to play an Ellenber for now. So I'll select my ace and I'll play it to the field. Now the computer goes, they drew their cards, and they decided to end their turn by playing an Ellenber as well. Now it's my turn. I've drawn a 6, and I now have a 7, a 6, and a 10 in hand. And during your main phase, you can perform as many actions as you want. There are really only 3 actions that you can perform. So there's the attack, which allows you to attack an opponent card. I'll describe that in detail in just a second. You can combine 2 cards for a value that is the sum. So say I had my 6 also in play. I could take my ace, which is 1, the value of 1, combine it with 6 to create a 7. But you can only combine if you have the sum in your hand. In this case, if I did play my 6, it would end my turn, but next turn I could combine it for the 7. This is actually the only way that you're able to bring the prestige cards into play. So if I wanted to get my 10 out, I either need a 3 and a 7 on the field, or I need a 6 and a 4 on the field. Those are the only 2 ways to bring your 10 out into the field. You also have to think about if you're going to bring out an 8 or a 9 in order to promote, you may need some high value cards mixed with low value cards. The last ability is Recruit, and for that ability to work, you need at least 2 cards in play. Recruit and Tack are kind of linked in that they use these cycles here on the right-hand side. If you've ever played rock, paper, scissors, rock can beat a scissor can beat a paper, and paper can beat a rock. In Fano, we take this idea of rock, paper, scissors and ramp it up quite a bit. And the way that it works is that there are 7 rock, paper, scissors cycles, and every card is involved in 3 of those 7. So the ace is involved with this rock, paper, scissors cycle at the top. So an ace can beat a 2 can beat a 4, and a 4 can beat an ace. The other 2, if you look here actually, they're in ascending order. So we have ace, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, down the middle. There's also an ace somewhere on the left and an ace somewhere on the right. You just got to take a look. And when you find them, you can say that an ace is able to attack the ones that are clockwise. So an ace can also best to 5, and an ace can best to 3. So those are the 3 that it's strong to: a 3, a 5, and a 2. It's weak to the other 3 numbers. So it can be bested by a 4, it can be bested by a 6, and it can be bested by a 7. And notice, ace can't best itself. So if I tried to attack right now and selected the ace, I wouldn't be able to select. It'll tell me that it's an invalid attack sequence. The ace cannot attack the other ace. But I have cards in my hand that might be able to attack the ace. So we could play them now in hopes to attack next turn. And if you look, again, ace is vulnerable to a 6, and the ace is vulnerable to a 7. I luckily have both. And to give myself options, playing the 6 allows me to combine next turn as well. So for now, I'm going to go right to my end turn phase, and I'm going to play the 6. This will end my turn. It's telling you the computer's drawing the cards, and they decided to play a 5 to end their turn, and now it's our turn. So we've drawn a card, we've drawn another prestige card. This is actually important, because in the game of Fano, during your draw step, and only during your draw step, are you allowed to barter. And to barter, you can trade in 2 prestige cards by clicking them and hitting the discard, as the prompt says, and this will allow you to draw an additional card. Sometimes this is really beneficial if you're getting locked out and you don't have the values to make a higher numbered card. In this case, my ace and 7 might be able to make a 8, my ace and 6 can make a 7, but I can't make the values 9 or 10. So they're a little bit dead weight at this early stage in the game. So I am actually going to choose to barter. And to do that, you select both and hit the discard display. And here we've drawn a 5 as our to finish our barter. And we've now entered the main phase. Notice that the 5 is highlighted gold and it's bouncing up and down. This is actually letting you know that you can recruit this number. And the way that recruit works is that any 2 cards in play, notice also there's some colors popping up, I'll describe these in just a second, but any 2 cards in play are members of one cycle. So an ace and a 6 are members with a 5 in this cycle here, the 5th cycle down, which means that you can recruit that 5, which is currently bouncing. Recruit is kind of like haste in Magic the Gathering. If I were to click this card and then click my field, 5 will come in right away, and we can use it in the main phase. It's actually an important point. Any cards that enter during the main phase can be used immediately. This could be through combine. If we combine our ace and 6, actually the reason why they're highlighted green is to tell you what it can combine with, and it'll only highlight green if you have the sum in your hand. So my ace and my 6 can combine for a 7, and it actually shows you, if I were to click on the ace, and it shows you that the 6 is green, if I hover over that 6, the 7 is now bouncing, saying that yes, you can combine this ace and 6 for a 7. And then we can use that immediately. 7 is strong to an ace, which is good, they have an ace, but 7 is weak to a 5, so right now we may not want to do that. So I'm going to clear my selection. And you see that the 5 is still bouncing. You haven't lost this. You can still recruit it. And it's a pretty good option. I'm going to take it right now. So we can select the 5 and bring it into the field. And we have the 5 available to us. The 5 is weak to an ace. That's over here. The ace can best of 5. And 5 can't beat itself. The 5 is a little vulnerable, but it's nice to have on the field for right now. With the remaining cards, we can decide either to try and attack, or we can try to combine. If you hover over a card, attacks that are available will highlight in red. And if you notice, none of the opponent cards are turning red right now. That's because we don't have any attacks. I'm going to describe attacks in a little detail in just a moment. For now, I am going to combine 2 cards to show you something interesting. When I combine 2 cards, the sum comes out into play, and then you're given an option that you can return any card from your discard display to your hand. This is a pretty strategic move. You can bring back a card that you maybe were missing or wanted. If I had something that I could use to attack, I would bring that back right now, or if I could combine with something, I would. But at the moment, I don't have anything in the discard display that I actually want. And a cool rule in Fano is that if you run out of cards during your main phase, you actually draw 3 new cards and keep going. So if you want to skip bringing a card back from your discard display, just click somewhere else or hit keep none. And now we've drawn 3 new cards. You can see that the 4 is bouncing. This is a card we can recruit. This is actually a great card to play right now, so we will. And we can keep going. We can continue to use the cards we have. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about attacking. So attacking follows again this rock, paper, scissors cycles. And there's a little bit of a condition though. An ace can only attack a 2 if you have a 4 in hand. You need to have the 3rd member in your hand. The way this works is that the 2 cards that are engaged in battle, the ace and the 2 in this case, go to the discard display. And the support card, which is the other member of that cycle that's in your hand, will come out into play. The net exchange is that the opponent loses a card and you change the value of your card. So for us, we can look at which cards we might be able to attack. And if you hover over the cards, you'll see that the 7 is highlighting the ace as red, and the 4 is highlighting the ace as red. If I were to select the 7, and then I were to hover over the ace, it tells you what support card is needed that's in your hand. So right now the 7 can attack an ace if I have the 3. And we can come over here to the cycles and find that the 7 can attack an ace if it has a 3. We can also deselect that 7 And we can go over to the 4 and find out that the 4 can attack an ace if you have a 2. And that's that first cycle here. 4 can attack an ace if I have a 2 in my hand. So we have two options for attacking. We can either have 7 attack an ace for a 3, or we can have 4 attack an ace for a 2. The reason I'm going to go with a 7 attacks an ace for a 3 is because a 3 can attack a 5 for a 2. So I can perform a combo attack on my opponent right now by attacking the ace for a 3. Oh, this is actually exactly what I hoped would happen. When you attack, there is the possibility that you can counter that attack. My 7 was attacking an ace. And if it were to go through, if it was a valid attack and it was successful, my 3 would currently be in play and they would still have their 5 in play. When an attack is counterable is when you have 2 cards in play that can combine for another Ellenberg spell. In this case, they had the ace and 5 in hand, and they combine their 2 Ellenberg spells for a 6. So now my 7 is attacking their 6. And that is not a valid attack, because 6 bests 7. And because of that, my 7 went to the discard splay only. And notice the ace never made it here. That's because the computer chose quickly to return the ace back to their hand. All of this is captured here in the history. 1 plus 5 is 6, and they returned the ace. So if you ever get lost, you can switch over to the history and see what's happening. So this is kind of a bummer. I was really hoping to get the 3 out, and then I was going to use the 3 to chain attack the 5 for a 2, which would have drawn me another hand and allowed me potentially to start working on getting some prestige cards out. But it's not all lost. We can still do some really cool stuff. Now that the 6 is out, we can look at where the 6s are. So the 6 is green, so we have 1 here and 2 here. Actually, the best way to find them is find the 6th cycle down, look 1 above that, and then 2 above that one. That's true for all of them. If you go 3 cycles down, you look 1 above that, and then 2 above that will bring you to the bottom of the other. And it's a fast way to find all the cycles if you're looking for a specific number. But I'm trying to find 4 and 6 in the same cycle. I see it here, so 4 can attack a 6. If I select it and hover, I can get my 3 out again. This is actually great, because if I make this attack, there's no way for the opponent to combine here. They didn't have any other cards, so they can't counter. Notice my 2 is jumping, because 2, 3, and 5 are part of a cycle together, and I can recruit my 2. So I can play that for free. And again, I've drawn another hand. So this is a little bit rare in Fano to draw twice in the same turn, redraw twice in the same turn. But it can happen. This is actually quite a dynamite turn for us, and I'm glad it turned out this way. You never know with live tutorials. One thing that you might have noticed is that the discard splay is no longer there. We don't have any cards in there, because if you can't draw any cards from your draw pile, you shuffle your discard splay, and that becomes your draw pile. And this continues to happen throughout Fano. You'll constantly be cycling through your resources, the same 10 resources. And if you look here, we have a couple of those green hovers, so 3 and 5 can combine for an 8. This is one of the prestige cards. This is a great result for us. We're going to combine. We have the 8 now, and we can, if we want, return a card to our hand, if we desire. In this case, I'll probably take the 5, and I'll play it. The opponent goes, they played the ace that they returned to their hand. An ace can attack a 2 for a 4. It's possible they might have it. An ace can also attack a 5 for a 6. You see that here? It's ace can attack a 5 for a 6. And this is where the discards play becomes really important. If you notice, the 6 is over here. The only way that they're able to get this card now is if they combine and return for it, or they use up all of their cards and have to shuffle their discard splay. So it's very unlikely they're going to make this attack. So my 5 is actually safe for quite a while. But my 2 is vulnerable. So we might want to think about what we want to do with that. This is actually a really good opportunity to show you substitute. We can select a card from hand, and we can either play it to a field slot, or we can substitute out a card that's in play. When you substitute, the card that's in play goes to the discard splay, and your card in hand comes out. And this is really useful when the field gets very full and you have 3, 4 cards out and you don't have the room. This gets rid of a vulnerable card and brings in a card that's not vulnerable. It also set us up with a potential counter. So if we get attacked, we can combine our ace with 5 for a 6. So this is actually a nice result for us. The opponent decided to substitute as well. They realized the ace wasn't working, and they placed the 4 out, 4 fire. Fire can best wind, and fire can also best and purge miasma. So 4 can beat a 1 for a 2, and 4 can beat a 5 for a 7. That's this cycle here. We could combine, but 4 can also beat a 6, so we're a little bit vulnerable in that respect. One thing we could do is we could recruit the 6, though. It's bouncing, and get that out for free. And now we have kind of an interesting thing out. We have a full cycle, so we have the ace, 5, and 6. And when you have a full cycle out and you have another card, you can actually use that cycle to increase that 4th card. So we can combine our ace with our 8, and if we wanted, we can return that ace back to our hand, and we can recruit that ace again. If we had the 10, we can bring this 9 to a 10. This is kind of I think of it as a cycle engine. I can use my cycle to increase the value of one of my cards. And if you have the right cycle, some of these are quite good for prestige cards, like 3, 4, and 6. You can combine for more prestiges at the end of your turn for a really nice flourish. All of these cards are vulnerable to 4. Actually, that's a rule of thumb. One card can best any one of these cycles. So if I was looking at ace 2, 4, the card that bests this cycle is a 7. And the ace 5, 6 is bested by a 4. And that also is in ascending order. But one thing we can do is we can combine these 2 cards for a 7, which I think we should do. This allows us to return a card to our hand if we want. I think I'm just going to go with the draw again, because if we don't bring anything back to hand, we have a nice redraw during the turn. 4 can be played immediately. And if I had an 8 out or something, I would probably combine these 5 and 4 for a 9, but I don't have that. And what we could do is trade out our 5 for a 6. Both are vulnerable. 4 can attack a 5 for a 7. It's pretty likely they're going to have it. 4 can also attack a 6 for a 3, also equally as likely. The one reason I would bring out the 6, though, is that my 6 and 4 can combine for a 10 on the next turn. So I will select the 6, I'll substitute out the 5 for a 6, and we'll just hope that they don't have a 3. And they did. So their 4 attacked my 6 for a 3, they played a 7 to end their turn. And we have an option now. We can barter again, where we could take these 2 cards and send them to the discard display. This right now, I would say, isn't a good option. And then we can take stock of what cards are vulnerable. So a 3 can attack a 7, and a 3 can also attack a 4. So both of my cards right now are vulnerable. And a 7 can only attack a 4 for a 5, but that's over here. And a 3 can attack a 4 for a 6, and that's over here. So it's not as vulnerable as it initially seems. And if we count the cards, they have 2 in play, and there's 4 over here in their discard, which means there's 4 total cards between their hand and their draw. So they won't be able to get my 4 out next turn. 3 can also attack the 7 for an ace, and that's over here. So we're safe. We're safe for 1 turn. And this allows us to potentially play something else. So we could play a 2. 7 can attack a 2 for a 6. That's in the discards play, so that's safe. 3 can't attack a 2. Or we could attack an 8. We can play an ace. 7 can attack an ace for a 3. And the reason why that can't work right now is because 3 is currently in play. So either one of these is fine. For now, I think we'll play the ace. They played a 2 to end their turn, and we can quickly take stock again of what cards we'd like to attack and what cards we potentially want to leave. Figure out what cards might potentially be able to do stuff right away, so lean on this heavily. Ace can combine with a 4 for a 5, so let's do that. The 5 can attack a 7 for a 4, so we might want to return that. A 5 can also attack a 2 for a 3. And what's cool about that is a 3 can attack a 7 for an ace. So I'm gonna bring back the ace. 5 attacks, 2 for 3. 3 attacks, 7 for an ace. We can play a 2 to end our turn and hope for an 8 next turn. We got it. We also got the 10. So here we're going to not barter, and we will combine for our 8. 2 can attack a 3. 2 can attack a 3 for a 5, so let's keep that. 2 can also combine with an 8 for a 10, which is a little bit harder to get out. I actually think that might be a better option for us, so let's do that. 2 can combine with an 8 for a 10. You can combine artifacts for higher value artifacts. Keep an ace and play the ace. Okay, this is great. Another fast way to think about what beats what, a value like 1 can beat the first 2 numbers above it. So 1 can beat 2 and 3, which are the 2 values above that in ascending order. A 4 can beat a 5 and a 6. 6 can beat a 7, and it wraps back around, so an ace. Here I can't make any attacks. I don't have a 4 or a 7, so I'm going to set up a potential counter. So nothing happened. They didn't attack. They played a 6 to end their turn, and we've got some options. We can use the 5 to attack a 2 for a 3. We can use the 1 to attack a 2 for a 4. This is actually our best option, and I'll show you why. We're going to do a combo attack. 1 attacks 2 for a 4, and then we're going to use the 4 to attack the 6 for a 3. And because the 3 can't attack the 5 for a 2, because the 2 is in the discard splay, we're going to end our turn, because 3 and 5 make 8, we're going to end our turn by discarding our 6 and giving us the maximum possible chance of drawing an 8 next turn. We got it. So we'll combine these 2 cards. We got our 8. Doesn't matter what we turn back. And you'll notice that the jack is blinking. We can click that for our promotion. And that concludes the first promotion. You do this 2 more times and you've won the game. And that concludes the tutorial for now. If you like what you're seeing, definitely try playing the computer on the beginner setting. And if you're interested in joining the community, please find us on Discord. The links are in the footer section of the website. And I'd be happy to chat with you as well. So reach out to me if you're learning the game and would like a session. Happy to teach.